clothes, give me love, and give me shelter, shelter. Simple life, it's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter, shelter. Yeah.
So welcome again, everyone, to the We Too All Libraries Movement platform, or the Ayiti Forum, or you can call it the CAW Forum, a special project of the We Too Movement podcast. Our title for tonight is actually The Price of Foundation: Suffer Now to Live as Champions Tomorrow. And the subtitle here is Exposing Liberia's Drug Epidemic. In the studio tonight, we have three panelists. Two of those panelists, for now, we will call our recurring panelists, Mr. Jeffrey C.W. Hammond, who is a political scientist and an international law specialist. We also have Mr. W. Bangwala Singbe, who is also a recurring. This will be his second time on the platform tonight. He's a licensed independent clinical social worker. And for the first time in our studio tonight, we will bring in Dr. Eric Bantu, who is Vice President of OCA, the United Liberia. I guess he will kind of break it down to us a little bit. But yes, we are really excited to have these three individuals with us tonight. So we are going to bring them in right here in studio. I'll bring to the studio first our own Dr. Singbe, and followed by Mr. Banto, and then Dr. Wemvagard, to be. He doesn't want to be called that. But welcome, gentlemen. It's great to have all of you here with us in studio. It's really exciting having you guys.
Thank you, and thank you for the invite again.
Okay. Briefly, I think we'll just go ahead and quickly introduce ourselves. I already did the introduction, but just very brief. If you want to, just for the sake of our audience tonight, who will be watching for the first time. We'll start with Dr. Banto.
So thank you again, Charles, for the invitation, and I'm pleased to share the stage with Dr. Rovringa and Dr. Mangbala Singbe. And I want to also thank you again for conferring on me the honorary degree of doctor. And I think we have philosophized so long in this community, and I thank to the We Too movement for acknowledging me in that capacity. But I'm Eric Bantu, a long-time Pennsylvania resident. I serve here as a community advocate, community organizer, and I'm pleased to share this stage with the both doctors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll pivot to Dr. Singbe there, who will introduce you.
Again, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. It has to do about Liberia, and it has to do about Liberians. Yes, I'm Bangwala Singbe. I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm also a college lecturer. I have been in this community for almost 30 years. And it's good to discuss Liberia. Thank you for this opportunity, Ayiti, and thank you to Liberia and Liberians across the globe that we are here to talk about issues that affect our common hegemony.
Thank you very much. Let's welcome Mr. Wemvagard, who will also introduce himself.
I want to thank you very much, Mr. Williams, for this invite. As you rightly put it in your introduction, I am a political scientist and analyst. I have my background from the University of Liberia, and also I'm so happy to share the stage here today with Dr. Singbe, who we all happened to go to school in the 80s at BWI, And although I graduated way before him, and since then we have been, cross-pollinating ideas. And for you from the We Too movement to be able to discuss some polemical issues germane to our society in reference to the current drug busting in our country, I think it is indeed meritorious. And I want to thank the Vice President for all CAW, Mr. Eric Banto, who has been very indefatigable in all of his pursuit in the United States and America to help to ensure that Liberia gets on the right path for democracy. So I'm happy to brainstorm with my colleagues here on this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome again. So, for the benefit of brevity, that is, that we're very brief tonight, we want this show to be aired at least between 30 and 45 minutes. And so we have customized the show to actually fit within that domain. Again, our title for tonight, as you can see on screen, if you just tuning in and watching this podcast or this platform, our title tonight is "The Price of Foundation: Suffer Now to Live as Champions Tomorrow." And this particular podcast is pointed towards the drug epidemic in Liberia, the prevalent drug epidemic. I think I was talking on the back end with Dr. Bantu, and we shared, I think, similar sentiment that drug trafficking is not unique to the Unity Party. It's not unique to CDC. I don't think it's a single party or political party problem, and I don't want us to continue to politicize this. I mean, this situation or this phenomenon. Having said that, we will go ahead again and just welcome our people, say good evening, and welcome to the very serious and urgent edition of the We or the CAW Forum, coming to you straight from the We Too Movement podcast, Special Project. I'm CIT Williams, and so if you're tuning, please begin to share this live with as many people. Tonight, we are looking straight into an issue that is cutting our throat as a nation. We are talking about the price of foundation, suffering now to live as champions tomorrow. And our subtitles say it plain, exposing Liberia's drug epidemic all over Liberia and right down to our very brothers and sisters in the global diaspora, our young people, and even the very unborn babies in the womb are suffering. Let's not fool ourselves. Bad leadership, I mean, the marks left behind by the Civil War and the way our schools are left broke or broken are all part of very trouble that we're talking about. But the main problem is that our foundation was bad from one. These things didn't just happen by mistake. Engineers set up to keep our youth down and lock the country in one spot so nobody come or nobody can move forward. So to help us break this down, I'd say our audience tonight or viewers who are following this heavy matter, we got three heavyweight minds on the line right here. Mr. Jeffrey C. W. Harmon. I think we're getting some feedback. Dr. Eribanto and Mr. W. Pamela Singer. Gentlemen, welcome once again. Let's get right into the questions here, and hopefully we get responses. I want to start with Mr. Jeffrey Harmon tonight, who is actually a political scientist. And having said that, the question comes in this form. Now, from the side of international law and governance, when a government can't even secure its own borders or stop big drug dealers, isn't that a clear sign that they have broken their contract with the citizens? What would you say about that?
First of all, as you said in your topic, suffering now to live like champions tomorrow. I like to put that into perspective, first of all. And it implies that those of us from as patriots of Liberia, we should be willing to be as torch bearers, make that sacrifice, not to be greedy, to fill up our tummies just for personal aggrandizement. We should make that sacrifice now so that tomorrow we can live like champions in our own place. And now you're talking on the second issue is the exposure of the drug cartel in Liberia. And I want you to rephrase your last question because you have some complex questions. So can you repeat your last question?
I think for the most part you laid the premise just from the topic, and this was the reason why the topic was actually penned that way: suffer now and live the rest of our lives as champion. And it's true because a lot of us we we have not been trained to give ourselves as living sacrifices, so that the ones behind would come and grab the touch and then run with that touch, so as to keep the fire burning. And if we were to bring that into context with the current drug crisis in Liberia, we see exactly what's going on. We have not only the influx of illicit drugs in the country, but the proliferation that is killing not only our youth, but our unborn babies. And so the question is, what happens to the very future? What happened 20 years from now, 30 years from now? So the question here that I'm asking, because government, a lot of times we say government is here to protect. So from this, as a expert of international law and governance, when a government can't even secure its own border, cannot protect the border or stop big drug dealers, the question, isn't that a clear sign that they have broken their contract with the very citizens? Because the government is supposed to be stewards of the natural and built environment. So that's the question that I'm asking you. Has the government already broken the contract with the very citizens of the country? What would you say?
Yes, thanks a lot for that clarification, whether the government has broken the contract with its citizen. And it brings to mind that we have to go to the etiological underpinnings of this drug cartel. And I want to say that this current government, to my own belief, it is doing its possible best to make sure that the cartel is exposed. Although there are some, dark areas that still need clarification. But if you look at the beginning of the drug situation in Liberia, you find out that successive governments have failed, not only this government. For instance, we went to war. During that period, Liberia was vulnerable and the borders were porous. People could come from any part of our neighboring countries and smuggle things in Liberia without people knowing. In fact, we have the entire sub-region sending forces to Liberia called ECOWAS. So people from Nigeria could come and do anything, Ghana, because they were controlling our security. And now Liberia has never been able to control its own geographical territoriality, and that comes to sovereignty. Up to now, Liberia is a pseudo-sovereign state. It does not control all of its borders. It cannot look at who's coming in, who's leaving, who is a citizen. And from my own analysis, those drug cartels have been in Liberia for a protracted period. People are living in the hinterland, in the bushes, and government is doing nothing about it, has been doing nothing about it. Even common laws that we have, like our constitution, The government has never been able to implement the Constitution fully. They only count on the constitutional terms when the law against them on another person, then they will talk about Constitution. But when it comes to themselves, they're not going to implement it. So as far back as 2005, the laws were on the books. I wanted the country to be united, to have a defined geographical territory with an outstanding army from the various counties to be free and protect the sovereignty of the state. But that under the Unity Party government was not implemented. Even up to now, the TRC was not implemented. So we have a government in power that has been failing the rules, failing to abide by the rules, from the Ellen government to the George Weah government and the current Joseph Boakai government. And among those three governments, I think I would give more credit to this Boakai government in as much that there are some errors. Because to expose more of the drug cartel at this moment, although we don't know what is really happening, I think we should give him some little headway. And he was one of those that talk about implementing the TRC report, but I don't know why it has not been done. So the successful government failed, and the current government still got time. We are looking up to them to ensure that failure is not an option. So I would say we still got to give them some time to see what they got. Thank you.
All right. So I wanted to give you time to kind of, elaborate a little bit more. I guess you understood when I first opened the show, and I was talking about the conversation that I had with Mr. Bantu there, that the drug situation crisis in Liberia is not unique to a particular political party. I think a lot of times that's the problem that we tend to espouse because we want to zoom in on a particular because just from the way the question was asked, it's already obvious that maybe the drug crisis in Liberia has been around even before this government took over, even before Ellen government took over, maybe before Charles still took over. But I would like to pivot to Mr. Bantu and maybe get his own insight or perspective on the drug crisis in the country. Mr. Bantu, would you like to throw a light on this particular question?
So thank you, and just to buttress what Dr. Wolfgang was emphasizing, and the government, political party run government, and they set the agenda for the government. And when you see drugs coming through our borders, the situation with Liberia, you can't separate Liberia now from what have occurred during the Civil War. And I think the Civil War has some effect on those very same government officials that are working in our government today. So because of the war, I think a lot of our personnel.
We're getting a lot of feedback. I don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from.
Someone has to mute their phone. So yeah. There's a lot of feedback we get. It's really disruptive. It's all right. I think it's minimized. Yes, you can continue.
So as I said, there are a lot of challenges going on in our country. I think based on what we have experienced from the Civil War, we all went to survival of the fittest, and some of the people who are representing us in government are surviving. And as we spoke today, drugs will always be around. Drug dealers, cartels will always be around. That's a big business. And these people search softer ground to operate. So when other countries adopt stringent method or policy on drugs, drug dealer will go to terrains that are softer on crime. And being that some of the people who are working in our government are surviving, you can see that several government officials were arrested. You don't know those people's financial abilities. So cartels can easily infiltrate and influence these people to do wrong. And so Liberia right now found herself between the rock and the hard place. But we can dig ourselves out of that because, and as I said in our last discussion, that everything in Africa starts from the head. So the president of the country has to set a standard that is a no-no to certain things. And what is happening is that because political party run government and people who support political party in our country, because of their support and their hard work for the party, they are rewarded high positions. And we don't even know whether these guys are criminals. Some of these people that are awarded these positions. So because of the war, everything is where the government, especially the president, look at Burkina Faso. This guy is popular all over the world because of the stringent method that he's implementing in Burkina Faso. And with Africa, we are not as advanced country where we have 3 branches of government and check and balance and all of that. So we heavily rely on the executive branch and specifically the president to come down hard on these things. People should not go with impunity. So I think we can dig ourselves out of this. And with the topic that you just raised today, we suffer now. Why we should suffer now? We went through this with Rwanda. Rwanda, we lost 250,000 people. Rwanda lost 800,000 people. I've been traveling lately across the globe, and I saw Liberians at airports going to Rwanda to school. And Rwanda was decimated and devastated, even than Liberia. So it is not the behavior of the people of the country. It is the government and the people who are representing the people of Liberia. There is no need that the people of Liberia should suffer. And Liberia, the government now is like a business. You win the political office, and all you enjoy is like setting up a business. So right now, everyone is looking forward to 2029 when they win. And then they already organize a good business to be rich. And there's no need 1.5. If you really canvass Liberians, we're not even 2.5 million people. We shouldn't be suffering. Liberians should be even paid by the government. But the money that's supposed to go to the people are going to individual government official pockets, and the people are suffering. So drugs, the cartels will always come to Liberia, but if our officials of government are corrupt and they don't implement policies to say, in fact, our grounds will not be a ground for drugs, the cartels will come. Until we say no to them, they will be there. And you can see that it was not done by only the cartel, it was done by, they were aided by officials of government. And the president is left with the president to come down hard on all of these individuals that are involved, and then, in fact, implement stringent standards for the next time. That when these things are repeated, these people will go to serious jail.
What a great perspective. I think you said a whole lot, but I want to point you back to our theme for today, which is suffer now, live the rest of the price of foundation. And the basis of that topic is to actually point us to why Liberia is in the condition that she's in, because those who, in fact, established the country, the very founders of the country, the founders of the country, they were very intentional because they wanted a nation state where people will be able to thrive on the ground of self-determination. But now, to say suffer now is to plant the seed. So the seed or the seeds that we've planted now is what we're reaping. Because to the drug, like you alluded to, the influx of drug in Liberia, why people are encouraging the influx and the proliferation of drug in the country? Because it fills his own pocket to amass wealth. So he does not care. Who's willing now to say, you know what, I will reject drug. I will not, in fact, allow drug. You alluded to something very, very profound. The people that we are hiring in government, what have they been taught? They've not been taught to work hard. They're not being given that the culture and tradition where we talk about morality, so as to ensure that we fight against these things that will corrupt our society, and not only that, especially affecting our youth. So it is in that context that we raise that, and then we're pointing back to the drug itself that we want to bring to the forefront so that we can have the discussion. Because the platform here is to revolutionize thought, to cultivate purpose, to empower the next generation. So if we don't do that, we do not suffer. Now, people have not suffered in the past. So now this is where we are. With that said, let me go to Dr. Stevie there, who is a licensed clinical specialist, obviously, or clinical social worker. And so with that, the question that I want to ask you, Doc, is a very critical question. And I want you to look at it from the mental health side. What is the heaviest damage this drug crisis is doing to babies exposed in the womb? And how are we supposed to start fixing this hitting disaster?
Thank you again. Because I am not a politician or political scientist, but a professional from a different perspective, especially from this psychological, psychiatric, human capacity professions. I like to look at it straight up. The drug of choice or the drug of availability in Liberia right now is called kush. And those who are in the United States and know about fentanyl, fentanyl destroys the brain cells. Kush is fentanyl 2.0. So if it destroys an adult's brain cell, straight up, that's why you see when somebody takes kush, he stands up and literally can fall down straight on his head and bust it open. Tell me about the effect of such such drug on the fetus. The fetus that is still growing up. So what we need to do as a country is to understand that. And in many of my psychotherapeutic sessions, especially if I'm doing co-occurring drug and mental health sessions, I always ask a lot of my patients, who is easily susceptible to drugs? The response always is people who are living in challenging situations. They are partly right, but anybody is easily accessible. We have 5 on this line, 4 on this line right now. If one of us were to take any kind of drug, whether kush, cocaine, crack cocaine, whatever you name it, heroin, it takes only one drug for all of us to become what people call to become a druggie. So it is a burden, especially when there is poverty, when there is deprivation, when there are situations of hardship that we see going on in Liberia and countries like our country. What can we do? I just want to expand on this. Your question is the price of foundation suffering now to live as champions tomorrow. It is fun and I smile a lot because nobody, absolutely nobody wants to suffer now. And every time somebody is given a public position, which is stewardship, whether whether appointed or elected, you know the first people that make that person to be corrupt? It's a question for the 4 of us here. And I don't need an answer for anybody right now, but I'll answer them. The first persons that make those people corrupt, unfortunately, is the very press. So they appoint you to the Ministry of Commerce. Somebody says, oh, Mr. Eric Bantu has been appointed to the lucrative Ministry of Commerce. When the act that created the Ministry of Commerce and Industry was passed, there was nothing called lucrative. But they put the lucrative there. Unfortunately, now it has become a cliche in a country so that people can come to you for bribery. So when you're talking about suffering now, stewardship, as everybody who works in government should be stewards. It's not something that you own right now. You have to be like Thomas Sankara. You have to be like, now we have, where's the young man who is the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore? You have to be like Paul Kagame. Stewardship is about handling something as if they were yours, but when they are only given to you for a period of time, you don't own it. That notwithstanding what we've done in our country, thanks in part, and this is an oxymoron, to those who settled our country from the beginning. What we've done in the past is that, in the past and currently, we have given people positions and think that they should use public money to live above the people who gave them those positions. It's hard. How can we become champions? We cannot be champions if we want to live like champions today. We cannot be champions tomorrow when we live like champions today. That is why you have a country as small as our country, the size of Tennessee or Ohio, and then you, in less than 60 days, can capture or arrest drug to the tune of $336 million because our people are greedy. For us to suffer now, we have and we need ungreedy people, if that's a word. We need people who are not greedy to run the state, who are capacitated, who have the ability to run the state. But capacitated does not necessarily mean that somebody must have a PhD, somebody must have a master's degree. Capacitated means that somebody must take the country above himself, above herself. That's the capacity I'm talking about. Yes, having the academic knowledge and other things. We will need that. But we need to go looking for the right people to run the state for us. Where can we find them? Somebody will ask that question. They're Liberians. They're good Liberians stay around the world. The good Liberians stay in Liberia. Go for them. Let the leaders decide to go for the good Liberians. Don't just elect somebody or appoint somebody or give somebody a position of trust because you think that, oh, the person is your mother's brother. The person is your friend. You went to the same high school together. You went to the same college together. Even though those are reasons for which you should give job to people, but you have to ensure that those individuals represent you, and they will represent you even when you make them to go to the Ministry of Commerce and Trade.
Thank you very much for that response. I just went through the live feed. I really wanted you to, give us detail, and you kind of touch on some of the details there. And I think one of the things that we want to walk away from here today is to see solutions. Someone asking the question, what are some of the solutions? Now we are having a discussion. So like we normally will do, we we break down the episode into segments. And the fact that we have Mr. One Little Guy here who is heavily, he has an affinity with politics, the polemics. We have the Honorable Mesfi who is also following. So we will come back to you, Dr. Singway, so that you can give us some possible solutions. Because the problem is to totally eradicate drug, I think is somewhat, we would say, is absurd. Because then it means that we have to address this source. Because the drug in Liberia seems to be coming from Latin America. Liberia is being used as a transit hub, and unfortunately, we have a country that is impoverished. So of course, and now to go back to the topic, suffer now, live the rest of my life a champion. Like I said, was a quote that was taken from Muhammad Ali, who said he hated every moment that he had to train, but he said to himself, suffer now and live the rest of his life a champion. So he won. He became the greatest. So how can Liberia leave from where she is now? Because like the country continues to deteriorate. What will Liberia be 20 years from now, 30 years from now? In a short yesterday, I brought to the forefront Africa. Africa, of course, Liberia is a subset of Africa. Africa in itself, the next, was just a 24 years from now, 2020, 2050, Africa will 1 out of 3 persons will be working in Africa. 1 out of 4 persons will be living in Africa. By 2075, you have half of the world's population Africans. Africa has a whole 42 of we'll just say the world's top-notch resources. And we have 65% of I stand to be correct, of the world's uncultivated arable land. And then we're still, Liberia is a subset. Liberia has resources. We have the waterways. We have diamond, we have silver, we have gold. We have, when it comes to arable land, of course, we have those things that we can use. And look at Singapore, what Singapore has become. 1965, Singapore was nowhere. So what is, this question will go to Dr. Wamla. I'm not even going to make it complicated. As a political scientist, what is the pathway using your political science background? We mentioned it. I mean, politics, government is supposed to be stewards of the natural and built environment. What are some of the potential solutions that we can employ to mitigate this drug problem in a timely manner? It could be a short term or a long term.
Yes, thank you very much for that beautiful, beautiful question. As a, once a student of political science, I was able to fortunate to study Liberian government and politics. So in that course, I realized from my thesis that there is an unresolved problem in Liberia. And for your forum to look at this from a solution focused point of view, I think is something that we all can contribute. And I want to also piggyback on Dr. Stimway's own analogy that we need leaders. We need unselfish people to be playing the role of leading. And Liberia has so many leaders, but we have to look for them. Solve this problem. That's very good. Look for those people.
Because I think Dr. Simway is going to be leaving us shortly. We'll get back to you. So, Doctor, I think you got to leave, right?
Yeah, I gotta go because I'm having an SOS call by one of my patients.
Okay.
But let me just before you continue straight, let me just say that I'm sorry, Liberia. I'm sorry, the world. That's the thing, man. We need to inject this into Liberia. Professionalism. We need to inject this in Liberia because friends who are professionals. And this patient of mine is not a black man. He's a Caucasian. And I'm from Kambalang. But he still has to talk to me because he is between the rock and a hard place. Again, let's wish all of us the best thing. I hope I can figure that thing out, come back to you guys. But if I don't come back, then I will see you on next week.
Yeah, this is an ongoing topic. I mean, this topic, we're going to continue. But it was great having you. Thank you very much for showing up, and have a good night. And we'll just pivot back to Dr. Wambaga. We'll continue. Thank you very much, at the same.
Yes. As I was saying, Liberia, to find a solution to the problem we're going to, we have to know what brought about the problem. The problem is abject poverty. The kids that are using drugs and helping the people to bring those drugs, they need money. And some of the government officials that are in charge of these things, they aid and abet the smuggling of drugs because what? They need money. And then we have weak institutions throughout in Liberia. Liberia does not have strong institution. Anybody can come out today in Liberia to say they want to be president. Like for instance, I was shocked the other day because I want to be fair. I am a member of the CDC. I was shocked the other day that George Weah came in Philadelphia and said, he just declared himself he running, he will be the candidate. How do you do that? If you say you're having a responsible party, you call for a convention, let everybody vet the best person. George Weah has not been vetted, although he was fortunate to have become president. But has he ever been vetted to say he's able to articulate the views of the people and do the things for Liberia? No. Then I see when I told some of the CDC, I said, no. I have to contest this guy and have a debate with him, or else I will resign. I need to know who is in charge of it so that I can send in my own petition to them that I am contesting against Mr. Weah. I want to debate Mr. Weah on some of the issues. There are so many seditions left the party and they want to come back. But you can't just come out as an individual. You're going to come out and say you won't be president of Liberia when in fact what Dr. Simway said we need professionalism. He's a professional soccer player. And we can measure him from what his expertise is. This guy is a professional soccer player, but look, Liberia. In Liberia, we can't even cross the African Cup of Nations. Now he comes into our own field of study where we spend sleepless night trying to analyze problems. And he wants to just be president, and leaving out the most important people that could help to solve the country's problem. Not justice in our society. And we are calling on our brothers and sisters in Liberia all over the world to begin to think. Leadership is not a joke. It's not friendship business. It has to do with yourself, your generation, and unborn generation. If you got weak leaders, weak institutions who cannot articulate their views, you ain't going nowhere. Some of these people can leave from Liberia. They come in America today. They see Donald Trump, anything, they will say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. In leadership, does not go that way. You have to speak the interest of your people, where you're coming from. In my own appeal, again, is that, look, I also heard that one of the people from the other party, Walker's party, Ellen Johnson party, they are saying Walker will run again. How do I see that Walker running again?
Well, but that the one look.
No, let me learn.
Okay.
I'm bringing up a critical issue. He's supposed to be looking at the state as a steward to make sure that Liberia finds the right leadership coming 2029 so that Liberia can move forward. Let the people argue on the thing and the best person. If the government has money, put the money and the leadership so that we all can benefit and society can benefit. And you talking about solution focus. That's why I'm trying to look at how can we solve this problem. That's where I'm going into it. So,
yeah, that would be great. That would be great. You know what I mean? I want you
that's
to.
why I'm going into it. There are a lot of things that are wrong with us. Our constitution has problems. The entrenchment, 9-year senatorial term, is a problem. We have 6-year presidential term. People entrenched themselves, that's a problem. We have to go for a referendum to change those things that would be able to help our country. So if you can arrest the analogy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you said a whole lot in terms of how we can find the pathway forward to, like I said, to totally eradicate drug in any geographical, whether country, nation, state, territory. That's something that I found to a large extent. I think is almost impossible. It may be possible, but to me, I think, it's relatively, it'll be a daunting task. I would like to go to Ms. Abantu. Maybe I get a perspective from Ms. Abantu as to how we can possibly find a way around this. And the reason why I want us to continue to go back to who we are as an institution, deconstructing, reconstruct. Because we're talking about competence, we're talking about the most qualified. The most qualified, we want this to be a holistic competency. Because someone can have all of the accolades, he can have the academic credentials, but if the person lacks, and this is in fact, the fundamental problem that we have as a people, our culture, our tradition has been ruined. It's been cracked. So the quality of people that we have now, because you have people who were here, they had their jobs. It doesn't matter what kind of jobs they did. We'll go to Liberia. The goal and objective to acquire a job in Liberia is to support the family back here to buy for themselves, because it's not to really contribute to the country, not to contribute to improving the quality of lives of the people. Electric types to say, oh yeah, we're improving the educational system, we're building roads, hospitals, ensuring that we're creating job opportunities for people. Rather, we go there to exploit the people. So that tradition and culture, because it goes back again to suffer now and live the rest of your life a champion. All go. This is where we will be creating people that will be protected of not only themselves, but also the country as a whole. So Mr. Bantu, having said the picture that I just created. What would you say?
So when you look at Liberia today, everything about Liberia, and when you look at the Bible, it say BC and AD, before Christ and after the death. So when you look at Liberia, you have to say Liberia before the war and after the war. So if you don't dissect that, you'll be confusing yourself. So if you say Liberia before the war, that's in the past. Let us look at Liberia after the war. And as I said in my opening statement and further on to deliberate, that what is affecting Liberia comes from what occurred during the Civil War. Okay, today you find what is going on in our country, and as the doctor same way alluded, he spoke about the good. So in every phenomenon, there's a good and a bad. What is happening in Liberia is that the bad is outweighing the good. You spoke about Liberians coming from the diaspora now being filtered into the Liberian system. But if those diasporans are filtered into a bad society, and the bad people outweighs the good people, what is the outcome? It's going to be bad. So what is going on in our country is that after the war, when the country was being reconstructed after the war, the material that were used to reconstruct the country were the same very material that fought the war. And these are bad guys. These are bad people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the material they have on hands, when the country was being reconstructed, there are people from the diaspora who fled. The Liberians who had learned and fled, they were not there. They were not on the ground. The material that were used, the personnel that were used to reconstruct the country were people who were part of all those killings and all those robbing and all those foul play that went on. Now we are at the stage where we are now filtering in other Liberians to contribute. Still, the bad people on the ground are outweighing the good people. And then when the good people try, and sometimes you're shocked, you might meet your demise. That and the former senator of Nema County, he write for the police. If you come here and you don't know what to do, put flare on your coffin. Your history. You understand? This is not a play. This is not a child's play. This is not come here and want to profess what you learned from you and Harvard and all of that. This ground is a ground where we are surviving, and we have to like what the doctor said. The good people, the good Liberians, have to put on their gloves and box those bad people out. Because the bad people don't want the good Liberians to come in and set a good trajectory. So if we cannot overcome the bad people, and that's how it's gonna be. But who are the good Liberians? And one of the things that happening in Liberia is that look at our leadership. Go back to our leadership drawing. The settlers, they were overthrown in 1980. So Master Sergeant Doe killed Toba because they was not serving the indigenous rightfully. So that was not a normal form of government. So we had a military government. The next president that succeeded Samuel Doe was Charles Taylor, military government. That's not a democratic way of electing a president. Who succeeded Taylor? Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, a long time presidential who been in the trenches of wanting to change a policy in Liberia. So, okay, let us reward her with the presidency. The next person that succeeded her is George Weah, popularity. Oh, you know what? Because to win election, you have to have a popular vote. So people are going through these people who have the popularity in order to win, so they can look at how many people now were sanctioned on President Weah. So they used President Weah to become president, and then the stealing went on. Embezzlement, mismanagement, misappropriation went on. So they used him to win, and they started misappropriating the people's funds. Now, the next thing, Unity Party takes Mr. Boycott. So we have, the Liberian people have to sit down themselves and say, you know what, the next time we elect our president, we have to discuss the issue. Where money comes from, where money go, how are you going to do this? Where money going to come from? Same thing they do here. But you can't just go, somebody give you back arrest, somebody give you pump arrest. Okay, you can't blame the people because the people are illiterate. So the bad people are taking advantage of the masses. So the only way these things are going to change is a top to bottom approach. We have to find a president that will be like Ibrahim Traore, who will say in fight, no to nonsense. Because what is going on in our country, they are very unserious. Everybody wants to survive. Survival of the fittest. And if somebody come and say, well, man, we get $5 million drugs, we get $300 million drugs, we give you 200,000, that the man wanna chopping. He's not looking at Liberia. They made a man, they put a man to foreign affairs, he said, oh, our passports. These are the things that are going on.
So, now, having said all of that, would you say that this current government, I don't know, you probably don't want to be put on the spot. Would you say that Boycott is doing a great job? He has been proactive in this particular drug crisis that's now unfolding in the country?
Well, to an extent, I saw some firings, but when you look at the case of President Clinton in America, one time I think when President Clinton became president, his brother was in some drug controversy, and I think they called him, said his brother was in the mix of some drug controversy, and he said bust him. So what I'm trying to say is that you can't just be arresting individuals of no essence. If your closest relative was involved, bust him. So I mean, the president is doing some arrests, but if this thing is involving people who are related to the president, and let him take the measures, because that's the only way things will. Things will change. Look at what happened in Saudi Arabia with Burkina Faso. There was some resident of Burkina Faso that Saudi Arabia for scholarship, and they want to learn to be a Muslim fanatic. And what the president said, we need engineers, we need lawyers and doctors. We don't want people going to Saudi Arabia coming here. The president has to speak to the nation every day, speak to the nation on what is correct for that nation and what he wants, and set standard. And the president is doing his best, but of course, he's of the age. I wish he were president 10, 15, 20 years ago for the trajectory he on. If he had become president 20, 30 years ago, I think he would have done a great job. But age is not on his side, but he's doing a better job. But I think he need more transparent people to work with, so that but the solution to our problem is a top to bottom approach. So the presidency should be held in account of what the next trajectory, the turning point should be of developed and constructive Liberia.
Thank you very much. In essence, you're saying that the government has not really been very, very proactive and accountable for a lot of the things that's forced. Though they're making arrests, but we're not seeing actual.
No, I mean, you cannot speak for the government. A government might think they are doing their best, but what I'm saying is that for country like Liberia to succeed, the president should put on her boots. And I think that where Mr. Weah failed the nation, because Mr. Weah was youthful. Mr. Weah was youthful, and I think he would have covered the 15 counties and making simultaneous development not only in the Montserrat area, but what comes from the executive mansion should be simultaneous with the rest of the country, so and Monrovia can be empty of because if you look at Monrovia, it's owned by certain tribes and is overcrowded by people of other counties and strangling, and the Montserrat area with Bassa and the other tribes, but because the other people from the southeast and from the northeast and all those places, they are not developed. So what they are doing, they are coming and crowding all the city. So I think the president should do a great job in decentralization, in implementing policies where when people come from setting, like what they do in America, they come up with numbering. So when you are from 500 come from the southeast. So if you have five, like how we have social security number 500 from the southeast, and then if you have 500, you can code it, and they can go back to their county and get their benefits to their county, and we can empty Montserrat and start and feed the development. We can't do that with a crowd of capital. So I think we are on serious, and thank to the We2 movement that you can set the stage for these conversations where maybe the government can take farm points from our show, because the president needs help. The president might say, this man is my advisor, the other man my advisor, the other man my advisor, but your advisor will just be there for their own personal benefits. So this shows that We2 movement, I think, with very insightful panelists, government can learn from these platforms to implement better strategies for Liberia.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Your points are very poignant. I want to leave the politics for a little bit, and let's pivot to.
Excuse me. That's a feedback.
We're about to conclude. There's a lot of feedback. I don't know where the feedback coming from. Can you check your device?
I don't have a device.
Who has a device on there? It's giving some
TV or something on.
Somebody has something on.
Okay.
That is all. So hopefully it stays that way. But I want to talk to Dr. Singbe here, since he's not only is he a licensed clinical social worker, but he's also an educator. So the question, I think this question is very important as we now try to, who is supposed to set a strong foundation for any nation. In the context of Liberia, that's exactly what she needs. When our schools don't have books, proper building, or any real vision, how much does that salvation push our youth straight into the drugs? Walk us through.
When we talk about deconstructing to reconstruct, we start from there. I think all of our friends, people of my generation, people of our generation here, I think most of our friends outside of the home were made in schools. That's how we went with it. And every time a guy or a girl went to school, his dad or her mom or whoever their adult figure was in their life told them one thing. At least we from Lofa, that's what they told us. Integrity was associated with names. They tell you straight, when you go to that position, don't spoil your name. which is just be integrous, right? So what we can do, and Mr. Hammer, who happens to be my senior, and when I was doing my internship, and when I started work also as a mentor from Booker Washington Institute, will say this and notice that we did not gravitate after school to becoming ministers straight. We gravitated toward learning the craft that we were made or were trained for. I know when I left Booker Washington Institute, I went to university, I became an accountant. I did accountancy and the rest of it. I was not trained straight to become governor of the central bank, to become minister of finance and the rest of it. I knew I had to grow in the processes until I became financial controller at the Ministry of Labor. Then I came to the States. First thing first, the government must deconstruct the psychology of our people. Not the government per se in terms of the government per se in terms of positioning, but Liberians themselves need to deconstruct that. People don't go to school in the United States and other developed countries because they want to be secretaries or they want to be ministers around here or director generals. They go to school because they want to become professionals in their area of specialization. I know we continue to have conversation on becoming age disparative in our conversation by saying somebody being in a position, somebody was 60 years old, 80 years old, 90 years old, and the person has been there forever and ever. But that particular thing, because of the past administration, that whole thing was debunked. People, it's not because of age. After all, young people before were given positions of trust and they screwed up. So if somebody is 90 years old and the Liberian people think that he's qualified to become, he can become. But we need to first start working on our school systems. That's the first thing. How can we do these things? I know the Governance Commission way back, that's more than 10 years ago, did what we call the Liberian Civic Curriculum and submitted it to the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education had the civic books done. We need to start teaching from the grassroots level those things. Let us stop teaching our kids about Dick, and Dick is Richard right now, right? D-I-C-K is rich or Richard right now, right? Or Jane and the rest of it. Let's teach our kids now about Yapaulo. Let's teach our children now about not John Kizet, but King Sauboso. Let's talk about what happened in Kano State. Let's talk about what happened in Mali and the rest of it. We are 1.4 billion people, but our education system does not talk about the 1.4 billion people in Africa. We talk about Caucasians and the rest of it. That is why we are not proud to be called our traditional names, because of the identity crisis that we suffer from. When you call somebody your name Ayiti, they say, what? What's your first name? Because they expect you to have a first name. What is C for? When I say my name, somebody say, what's the W for? Why? Why? Because we are not proud of our names. As soon as you say you're from Kamala, or you're from Kola, or you're from Bezon, or the rest of it, or you're from Konabo, or wherever you come from in Liberia, people then start to look at you as comforted. when Martin said, and this is Dr. Martin Luther King, when he said in the 1960s that we should not be judged by the color of our skins, but the content of our character, he was in essence saying, don't judge me because my name is not Joseph. My name cannot be Joseph because I'm not an Arab. My name cannot be William because I am not an Englishman. My name is Kwamwala. Judge me for Kwamwala and the actions that I carry on. That's the beginning of our deconstruction to reconstruct what Liberia stands for. And Eric spoke about we lost 250,000 people. And Rwanda had minimum 800,000 people killed. But how did the Rwandese end their war? The Rwanda Patriotic Front won the war in Rwanda. In Liberia, unfortunately, no specific individual group won the war. So they came in there with their individual ego. I'm talking about the warlords, and they form a government wherein I think that's one of few countries in the world that have 5-man presidency. So nobody was in charge. You also spoke about somebody telling other people, if you come here and you think you want to change things, you will carry the flag of Liberia on your casket. That's a threat. That's destruction of our country. And so when the capable does not become available, the available becomes capable. That's the approach they will carry on in Liberia. And that's the approach they carry on now. My first concern is the four of us on this, podium and in this platform must, along with other Liberians, tell ourselves that to manage the state, people don't have to threaten us. And those of us who are privileged to leave from here to go back to Africa, to go do a piece of job in our country, this is about suffering now. In order to become champions tomorrow, we need to understand that even if we steal all the monies that we steal, we can only sleep in one room. And even if we sleep in one room, we can only sleep on one bed. And even if we sleep on one bed, we can only sleep on one side of the bed at a time. If we start to do those minimum things that will make people to understand that, these people mean business, Liberia's situation will start getting better, and we will not be pointing at what's happening in Burkina Faso, what's happening in Mali, what's happening in Niger, and the rest of it. We will start talking about what's happening in Liberia. For Christ's sake, tell me, how many Liberian public servants are we proud of? I don't know whether we can count them. If we can count them, they're not even up to 5 people now or in the past. And if I to become a rogue, just be appointed to a public office, whether it is real or imagined, everybody will tag you a rogue. But again, when you have a system that has fed on the appointing authorities, the power brokers, the people, for a long time, for almost 2 centuries, because we are 179 years old, the people will then start using other means to verbalize their discontentment. And that is what Liberians are doing now. They're calling everybody rogue. So, where do we go? What's the solution? People will ask that question. I think that we have a leadership in place now. We have 2029 coming up front politically. Anybody that is going to be elected, whether as a legislator or as in the presidency, to become president or other thing, we need to validate them. We need to view them, and we need to see them.
100%.
Their resumes must be presented to us. The resume is not the paper resume.
We need a debate.
Anybody can embellish the truth through their resumes on the paper. But the resume should be presented to us so that we can decide as a people, not just popularity.
I think I 100% agree with you. And this is why, in fact, Dr. Wamlaga, thank you very much, Dr. Singman, for your input, as well as the great Dr. Bantu. He highlighted a lot of great points, solutions, potential solutions that we can see. We can pick them, like he alluded to. These are grounds where we can come and we can take from these solutions to solve the many problems, like he said, using the code 500, people coming from all over the country, and then you bring it to the forefront how important it is for us to go back to our identity. I think we've lost identity because now you also talk about using Dr. King's quote, a man should not be judged not by the color of his skin, but the content of his character. So now think about the content. It goes back to the quality of people that the country is producing, has produced. And Dr. Bantu, I want to take you back to why it's important, like you said, AD and maybe B, before the war and after the war. People without knowledge of the past history, culture, and origins, like a tree without root. It's so important for us to go back there. To go back, just think about what it means to be a Liberian. Why was this country founded? Why was the country established? If we can bring that to the fore, we talk about liberty, Liberia, meaning to be free, and we will have, these controlled substances to ruin our lives. It means that we're not free. We're not thinking for ourselves. We're not making decisions for ourselves. People are writing our story. So we got to grab this, and so we can see how we can rewrite it, deconstruct, now to reconstruct. And so this is why I think all of you guys made, great points that we can try to archive. And
so
now
for the debate of yeah.
It set the tune for the debate, like Dr. Wamlaga was saying, because without the debate, we wouldn't know who is able to really, handle the affairs because you talk about leading us from this dark place into the light, because we are in bondage, we're in the wilderness. People we're all about the acquisition of wealth, and I think we need to find a new pathway forward. With that said, I don't know, maybe you have something to kind of charm me, Mr. Bantu. You can charm that in. I'll ask our last questions so we can go around.
What I was saying basically was that to further discuss on the platform to understand ourselves, we have to speak before the war or after the war, so we can understand where we are. So if we want to understand before the war happened, then we speak in that. But if we generalize, then we're going to confuse those Liberians, because some people who are calling themselves Liberians today are people who were born after the war. I spoke to a Liberian who did not even experience the war. He's almost 20-something to 30, going up to 20-something years old now. They didn't even experience the war. So I think moving forward on the show, I don't know how we term it, whether BW or AW, before the war or after the war. So it will speak, from that perspective, so I think people can our audience can better understand where we're speaking from. And as I said, there are good Liberians in Liberia because it took good Liberians to bust those drugs. So I think someone came out to be heroic in saying, we cannot allow our country to go through this drug situation, and then were able to bust that 370 million. So there are still good Liberians in Liberia who want to do good, but as I said, that through light on earlier, they have been overshadowed by the bad ones. And I think they have to fight, and we have to join them in the fight so we can overcome those bad Liberians, those bad apples in our country that are trying. Because the war is over. A lot of Ghana fought their civil war. Ghana fought their war. Rwanda fought their war. America fought their civil war. Japan fought. Other than Bamba, Liberia is almost 20 years after the war. And we can't just say everything there is the effect of the war. No. There are bad elements in our country that want to keep the country like that. Liberia should have graduated from everything that happened during the war.
Eric.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. Great point. Great point.
What Eric, I want to buttress Eric. What he's trying to say is that what you're talking about before the war or after the war, if in essence it's like trying to know our past history. And then we will understand today what is happening with us. If we understand the past, we know what is happening now, and then it will give us the perspective
feedback.
Our feedback. So understanding the past, we don't know what is going on, so you can redirect the future. And Liberia, if we don't go along that trajectory, it is going to be very much hard for us to reshape our future. We're going to find out maybe in the next 30 years, we're still doing the same thing that the pre-war era we were doing, because we have never put in the caveats to correct those errors of the past. Now, it brings me back to the same situation. Our laws. We do not respect our laws. If we put down our organic law, and everybody who violates that law, anybody who violates the law will be held accountable. Let that person be held accountable. That's the law. But in Liberia, people violate the laws, but even things like stealing from the government, it should be one of the biggest crimes, because when you steal, your government official, you steal for your own self, you put in a lot of children, a lot of people in abject poverty. Look at that country up to now. We don't even have train stations to go around that little small 45,000 square. We don't have trains. Even toilets, all over public toilets. We don't have those things. But yet, people a government, he will build a big house, and like he's a millionaire, but he cannot give an account how he got that good. And now some of the costs I'm talking about, like if the auditing bureau comes and finds the audit, the national legislature itself needs to be audited. Even the executive government era, they need to be audited. And the judiciary, we need a holistic approach so that we can move with a positive vibe towards the future. So because of that, I have been asking any Liberian that is listening, it is upon you to hold your public official accountable. That look, like what Simon was saying and what Bantu and most of this forum, the We2 forum was saying, that leadership, we need accountability in leadership. If anybody is coming, we need to have a fair debate to know what the person did in the past. If you were agriculture minister for so time, or you are minister of public work, what you did in the past, let the people know. If you took my money and you absconded it and got rich out of it, obviously it's something to say, no. According to the audit report, you did this, you did that. But in Liberia, we don't seem to want to go into those things to unearth the bad. And in conflict resolution, what they are saying, what conflict resolution says, you have to go and unearth the bad. If you unearth the bad, you will be able to help the situation for today and tomorrow. But the past, we have never unearthed everything. People can't steal it, put it together, cover it up, and that's it. For instance, if you're a therapist or you somebody, you're a clinician, you got hurt, and the soul, there's a pulse in the soul, but the skin just grew on top of it, but the pulse still there. You think you are healed? No. The thing that happened in the Liberia Civil War, we are never yet healed. It's just that we got a pause on it, but we have never dug all the pause, clean it up for us to have healing. And now it is incumbent upon this unity party government. The previous government could not have done anything. They had the opportunity, they did not do it. In fact, they promised us they wanted to rule for 1 term, they ruled 2 terms. Now this particular government has the ability to tell the people, look, if the election time, the owner of the election laws of Liberia said 90 days before election that when people are supposed to start their political rally. But we see people all in America here rallying, it's far away from the election. They're having political rally already. So these are violations of our basic law. And what is the government saying? Is the government say the Unity Party going to do the same thing, start having political rally when the election law says it must be 90 days away from the general election? And when these people are having these rallies and things in America, you know how whether a drug cartel man coming from Mexico meeting them, giving them money so that when they get in power, they will do those things. So even in America, the people do not have political rallies out of their country because that brings a lot of things. They call it the kickbacks. Those that are coming to the rally, they coming with prayers. So at the end, when you are in power, they coming there to you so you can pay them back. But look, we are not having the debate, so these things will continue to go on. But some of us, thank God we came from Liberia, the water, we came to America, we learned a lot. So we're ready to give back to our country so that we can help our country to go up. When Donald Trump says nobody coming to America, all the African people, everybody all over to get them fed. Why is it we can't fix our own country? You depend on other people to fix their country and then we don't want to live in it. No. We have to straighten up Liberia. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
We have to make the sacrifice today so that we can live the champions for tomorrow. And this is the solution focused thing we're talking about. We need to have a conversation or debate about the stewardship. And those that have the opportunity to be in power, let them try to exclude themselves. They can put themselves, but let them be the steward to look for the leadership. Say, look, make sure that all Liberians are included in the process, whether you're in the diaspora or not. So, that's my own solution focus.
Thank you so much. I mean, every point here that was projected, I mean, that's valuable, invaluable. And I mean, I just want to thank all of you tonight for showing up and giving back, because a lot of the platforms that we have around, we talk about the politics, but we're not providing solutions. And we want to really ensure that our people are being educated to begin to see things outside the box, because this platform is actually for the masses. We take no sides, and we want to make sure our people are informed, so that they can begin to see themselves different. And with that, we'll be able to produce something different that will benefit the society. So the debate, I think this is a good segue to the debate. We'll be calling for this, because this will be, we say, the CAW Forum, which is the special project for on this We Too Movement podcast. is the litmus test for the presidential debate. It's on three pillars. The second pillar would be the scholars arena. Lastly, we talk about the broadcast audit. So, I mean, it's just great to have all of you here to spit out your emotions and how you feel about this drug situation. But the topic here says it all: the price of foundation. We know that any building that's being erected needs a solid foundation, especially if that building is to hold more and more height. Of course, we need to have real reinforced foundation. This is where we put all of our reinforcement. We spend a lot of time. So this is the pathway to building the new foundation for Liberia Renaissance. Having said that, within just circle the room here and ask you to start with the closing remark. And we'll move on to
Thank you. Thank you again, the We Too movement, for the invitation to be on your platform tonight. I'm pleased to share this moment with Dr. Reverend Guy and Dr. Bambana Sigbe, and I look forward to future conversation that will enlighten the people of Liberia, and that will bring some a solution to peace and tranquility in Liberia. I want to thank you very much.
That was great. Good having you too. Dr. Wondergard, you'll be next.
I want to thank you for this forum. I think it brings out the ingenuity of a Liberian spirit. It brings out some of the things that people are afraid to talk about. And this forum is helping to educate our people what we need to do and what we're not supposed to do so that we can move forward. And I want to also use this platform to conscientize our Liberian people that look, coming 2029, it should not be. We should be able to pray whosoever will bring it in power, and we should encourage the changing of the tenure of offices and straighten up our law. With the laws intact, we will be able to do better things for our country. So I thank you so much, Mr. Williams, for the We Too.
All right, thank you. And then we'll pay it to Dr. Simit, who will pretty much conclude.
You know, sometimes when I hear Liberians who are passionate about Liberia talk Liberia, I'm excited. And we want to say thank you to the We Too Liberians movement for giving us an opportunity to discuss Liberia from divergent views, because Liberia is all that we have. At least that's the only country that we cannot be considered as immigrants, aliens, and the rest of it. Let's talk Liberia more. Let's discuss the issues that affect Liberia. Right now, it's about making Liberia a better place for us. But how can Liberia be a better place when we are not working to make it a better place? I will ask that question every time. Thank you again for this opportunity. If we want to make a place that we will all go to and be excited, we need to suffer now so that tomorrow we can go there. Because if we don't go there, the mixed fate will take that country and continue to run with it. And until we go there, like what happened with Boja, Suzuku, and them, I will stay here and talking will just go in vain because they will make no physical impact on our people. Again, thank you for this opportunity. We're ready to come back again to have these conversations again in different forms and manners.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Of course, our topic for tonight is the price of a foundation, suffering now, so as to live as champions tomorrow. I'd like to close with this. History will not judge us by how much we suffered. History will judge us by what we managed to build out of the ruins. The drug epidemic destroying our young people and threatening our unborn children is a direct attack on all of us, even our people in the diaspora. Bad leadership, the shadow of the Civil War, the starved schools try to write our final story. But the pen is still in our hands. We refuse to accept this stagnation as our portion. We choose to do the heavy lifting today so that tomorrow our children don't just script by what they do. They will stand up and reign as champions. Big thanks to our brilliant panelists tonight, Mr. Jeffrey C. W. Hammond, Dr. Eric Banto, and Mr. W. Bangala Singh. This has been the CAW Forum, a special project of the We Too Movement podcast. I'm your host, C. Ayiti Williams. Stay woke, stay strong, and let's fix our foundation. Until next time, family, peace, and power to all of you. And look forward to seeing you another time. Have a pleasant night. God bless you. And let's talk here soon. And we look forward to seeing each other Wednesday. Have a pleasant night.
All right, thank you.
Simple life. It's all we want to live. Give me food, give me clothes, give me love, and give me shelter. Simple.